So how do you guys like my new transmog? Eh? JK, shoulders never drop. Feels bad, man. But how are you guys doing? So ever since patch 7.1.5, we've had a lot of buffs and nerfs. Well, not a lot, but we were pretty OP in the beginning. Then we got nerfed a lot. Then we got buffed a little bit. And now I'd say we're in a pretty decent spot. And I'm making this video to address a couple of issues. A lot of people seem to feel that Shadow Priests are very weak and they need a buff. I'm here to say that I don't think so. I think Shadow is in a pretty decent spot right now. The problem with Shadow Priests are not the damage we do or the damage we take necessarily. I think we're decently tanky. Yes, I went there. I think we're decently tanky. I think our damage is very strong. Our burst is very good. The problem with Shadow Priests right now is the insanity and the void form mechanic, which is, by the way, very cool for PvE. It's a great design for PvE, but in PvP, it's a bit iffy, you know, because everybody just runs in, pops everything, every single cooldown, blows you up because you know you're forced to play defensive, so you can't pop everything because you don't have like much. You can pop Power Infusion and Shadow Fiend, which is not gonna get you a kill for sure. Shadow Fiend is kind of like an extra dot you have every 3 minutes. So it's not exactly, you have to play defensive and then you kind of, fall behind a little bit and you can recover, you can be fine. But the main problem is, you have to cast to get to that void form. And then when you do get to that void form, man, it's so easy to get shut down. I mean, good people can, CC, you can get sheeped, feared, stunned, you name it, you can get spam kicked. Or you can just be left there alone in a slow, everyone can line of sight. And I've had this happen to me a couple of times, and it's so annoying. It's like I struggle so much to get this void form, and you're just gonna leave me here. And yeah, people just run away and they wait for your void form to expire, and then they run back in. So it is kind of a messy design for PvP. But there are ways around that, and I want to talk about a spec that I've been trying out recently, and I think it is very strong and very good. It also has a little bit of a higher skill cap, I think, or maybe I'm just playing it wrong, or maybe the spec is just bad. I hope to get some feedback from you guys at the end. But first of all, let me talk about the basic spec, the one that everybody's been playing in 7.1, which is in my opinion still the best spec. It does the most damage, the most burst. It's just like the most AoE pressure, whatever you want. The only catch is you have to be able to do your PvE rotation. If you can do your PvE rotation, so if you can cast a lot, then the basic spec with power infusion and everything is by far the best. It does, like, look at this damage. Okay, my priest here was playing Edge of Insanity. I mean my other priest. And then myself, I was playing with the basic spec. And granted, I was left completely alone, I know, and I was free casting. But look at the damage, like it's sick, it's crazy. So if you can free cast, yeah, this is the spec to go. Now obviously you're never gonna free cast. You're gonna free cast once in a blue moon, or maybe if you play double Shadow Priest like I did. And then we have the Edge of Insanity spec, which is, in my opinion, a very good spec, and I always play that against RMP and RMD because it is very hard for them. You're basically, they can't shut you down. Like, it doesn't matter if you get sheeped, if you get stunned, your damage will keep on rolling non-stop. And it's the same damage, and it's actually pretty good damage. And all you have to do, and I play with Misery as well, because I don't want to spend time applying Shadow Word Pain, because I don't need it. And I don't need Mindbender, because I don't need Insanity, and I don't need Power Infusion against RMP, because it gets dispelled or spell stolen anyway. So I will play Misery, and I think actually Misery is pretty strong against RMP. You don't need a lot of globals, you don't need a lot of casts to do a lot of damage, and then you can just focus on not dying, and you'll be grand, you'll be fine. If you don't get trained, oh man, it is so boring, because literally all you do is press Vampiric Touch on everyone, and then you Mind Blast on cooldown, and then you Mind Flay. That's all you do. It is very boring. I hate it when I don't get trained. When I get trained, I actually like it, because it's like, yeah, come at me, suckers. Like, alright. Kick me, I don't care. Sheep me, I don't care. Stun me, it's like that. And now this spec that I've been trying recently is a lot more fun than the Edge of Insanity one. First of all, it's pretty challenging-ish because you have a lot of options, but it's nice because it is hard for you to get shut down, and you don't have to cast much. And the idea behind it is you know, we have our PvP template gives us quite a lot of mastery and you know, pretty low haste and pretty low crit sadly, but the mastery is pretty high. So I thought it makes the most sense to just maximize your insanity generation and stay in void form for as long as you can and without casting much if possible. So I'm picking Shadowy Insight instead of Sand Lane, and yes, I'm gonna do less damage at the end because I don't have Sand Lane, but I don't care about pressure necessarily that much because let's be honest, 20% increased damage on Vampiric Touch is a lot of damage overall, but is it really gonna kill someone? I don't think so. It might put pressure and lead to a kill. It might even kill someone with like Vampiric Touch can crit pretty crazy amounts, but I don't think that it usually does kill things just because you pick Sand Lane. It's nice for the pressure, but I don't think it gets you the kill. Whereas Shadowy Insight does pretty good burst damage when you press Mind Blast, and also gives you Insanity, which is the main component here. And I just want to stay in Void form all game long. And for that reason, I also picked Mindbender, which I'm not very sure about, but I kind of like Mindbender more than Power Infusion because it is on a shorter cooldown. Now, you definitely lose a lot of burst. A lot of burst. You lose a lot of burst, not only because you lose Power Infusion, but also because Shadow Fiend does more damage than Mindbender. However, Mindbender can be used every minute instead of every 3 minutes, and it gives you Insanity, which is the most important part, so you can burst more often. And plus, if you burst properly, like if you pop your Mindbender, your Scyfiend, and your Void Torrent at the same time, that's a lot of damage. That requires cooldowns. That requires defensive cooldowns. So you can do that every minute. It's actually really strong. The burst is very good. The sustained damage is very good as well. And if Psychic Link would have been even a little bit stronger, man, even like 50% instead of 30, I would have definitely picked that, because that would definitely make up for not having Sand Lane in terms of AoE damage, for sure. But the way it is right now with 30%, I don't really think it's worth it. I'm not going for AoE pressure with this spec, I'm going for kills. I'm going for staying in Void form for as long as possible and spamming Void Bolt. That's all I care about. And that's pretty much it. And as a closing thing, I want to say that I've tried this spec. I really like it. I feel like it has great potential. I was doing pretty good damage, though I wasn't getting attacked that much, but I imagine even if I get attacked a lot, since I'm not casting too much, I should be fine. And I think it is definitely worth a try. And I hope you guys give it a try and give me some feedback. What do you guys think? Do you think losing Sand Lane, Power Infusion, and Shadow Fiend is too much for the trade-off? Do you think the trade-off is too high? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about Mindbender, but I kind of like it. I kind of like the feeling of it. I'm still not sure if it's best to use it in Void form, so you stay in Void form longer and burst with it, or if you use it, you know, outside of Void form, so you get to Void form faster. The way I've been using it is kind of, you know, a mixed thing. I've been kind of using it at the end of Void form, where I Void form. So I'm in Void form. I use Mindbender, I use Scyfiend and Void Torrent close to the end of my Void form. That extends my Void form, obviously, and then Void form does go away, but I still have Mindbender to help me go into the next Void form very fast. Like I'm just Void form all the time. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!